Can you hear me okay, though?
Yes, got you loud and clear.
Good, good, good. Okay, it's right. It's starting here. Start. Yeah, here we go. All right. Here we are, folks. Today on the show, The Metal Voice, we have the one, the only Mr. Vinny Appice, who's got a new album out with his brother, Carmen, called Sinister, to be released on October 27th. Vinny, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm in Los Angeles, and the weather's nice, and everything's moving along here. Things are good.
If I stop you, I'm not trying to be rude. It's just I'm reading some people's texts that they want to ask you, you know, stuff, okay? Just so you know, we are live. Again, the album, Sinister, I heard it. I listened to it. It sounds great. But let's just go back one step. Let's go back in time, and then we'll work our way up to the album. Don't worry, I won't spend all day with this. A lot of people have been asking about Black Sabbath and Dio. So here you are. You're in the band Axis. You get the gig for Black Sabbath subbing for Bill Ward.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about how you got the gig, just so people understand quickly?
Okay, well, I got a phone call out of the blue, and it was Black Sabbath's tour manager. This was in 1980, and he said, hey, Vinny, this is what's Paul, actually his name is Paul Clark, and we need a drummer. We heard you, and we'd like you, if you're interested, to come down, meet Tony, and then see how it goes, and then possibly, finish the tour for us, So I said, sure, absolutely. So I went down to a hotel in Hollywood, and that's where Tony was staying. And I first met the tour manager, and then Tony walked in, and he had an album I did with a band called Axis, which was what year was that? 78. And he liked it. He goes, hey, how you doing? So we hit it off really well together, and then he had the album. He liked the album, the drum sound. So we headed off, and then at the end of the meeting and stuff, he said, all right, come down tomorrow to rehearsal studio. So it was SIR Rehearsal Studios in Hollywood. So bring your drums and all that. So I had a 67 Mustang. I loaded all my drums in there, and they were concert tom drums, four toms, because 24-inch bass drum, but the set didn't look that big. So I went down, and they set me up, and then we played. First song we played, I didn't really know it, but I knew the tempo, and it was Neon Nights.
Of course.
And I met Ronnie and Geezer and Jeff Nichols, keyboard player. And so that was cool. So after that, maybe another song, I don't even remember what we played, then they said, okay, cool, let's do it. You're in. So from there on out, it was me learning all the rest of the songs. We only had 4 days to rehearse. And that day we did a number of songs, and then everybody was so happy they found a drummer to complete the tour, because they had to cancel some gigs, that they went to the pub, So the first couple of rehearsals, we rehearsed only a little bit, and then we went to the pub. I didn't go to the pub because I had too much on my plate, so I had to stay in the rehearsal place, usually with Jeff Nichols or sometimes Ronnie, and learn the songs, So we only have 4 days rehearsal.
So at what point, I know that you're on and off, you're sort of subbing for Bill at the beginning, right? At what point did they say you're in the band now? I mean, at what? Well,
let me tell you, a funny thing was Tony, he really liked me and stuff. And then he said, listen, the drum set, do you play double bass? Because the drum set looks so small. These big arenas and stuff. It's a little kit. So I said, no, I don't play double bass, but I can make it bigger. So then I immediately called Ludwig and got like aerial toms and another floor tom and another rack tom, and added to that kit to make it bigger. So that was a funny thing. And then Tony started me on making the kit bigger, and I kept making it bigger and bigger and bigger until 2009, when it was so big that I killed my shoulder trying to play it and had to get surgery. So pretty funny story. And then, so we continued the the Heaven and Hell tour.
Yeah.
The first gig was in Hawaii. First gig was at Aloha Stadium in Hawaii, 30,000 people. We were all nervous, especially that we didn't rehearse that much. And then we continued the tour, and they said basically until Bill comes back, I was in the band. So that was the agreement. And then during the tour, Warner Brothers approached the band about doing a song for the movie Heavy Metal.
Yes, I remember that.
Animated movie.
Yes, I remember that.
So we had a couple days off in England, so we wound up going to John Lennon's house. And, he was already passed, unfortunately. And it was owned by Ringo, and they got a studio in there. So it's a big English mansion, beautiful. Drums are in the hall with the big staircase and big ambient sound. So that's where we wrote together. We played and recorded the Mob Rules, and that was on that Heavy Metal album. That's a different version than it's on our album. So at that point, that came out really well. So that was the first recording with me and the band, and everybody was so happy. It came out like killer. So at that point, I think they never said you're in the band. That just, nobody says anything, you just keep going. And at that point, it was like, okay, you're in the band, because now I'm on a recording that's going in a major movie. It's going to be funny to have it replace me again with Bill.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even coming up because Bill never came back.
Yeah.
And then it was time to do another record, so that was the real point of going, okay, I guess I'm in the band,
The Mob Rules. And there comes the Mob Rules, the album. What are your, and I got, actually, you can't see me, but I got the vinyl of Mob Rules when it came out. Actually, probably, it's my favorite of the, let's call it the Dio era / Vinny Appice era, albums.
Mm-hmm.
What were the highs and lows of recording that album? It's a monumental album, from Turn Up the Night to Falling Off the Edge of the World. It's got the doom, it's got the hard rock, and you're drumming, man. You're drumming, that sort of, you're behind the beat, and it's just the fills. You're the man with the fills. That's how I think of you as a drummer. You're friggin' phenomenal. Yeah. Like, what was the highs and what were the lows in recording from what you remember on that album, the Mob Rules?
Well, the highs were just recording an album with Black Sabbath. That's pretty high, and playing with Tony and Geezer and Ronnie. Jesus, that was a high. And there were no lows. There was absolutely no lows. The only thing to think about, and I wouldn't call that a low, is that what I play has to remain in the Sabbath realm of these guys sound this way, and they're known for this. Yeah. We couldn't just play any crazy thing. It had to be like behind the beat somewhat, and then some of the fills, not too crazy, but they were in there just to build the song part, join the songs, the parts together, or however you want to look at it. So that was the only thing to watch out for, but there were no lows, no way. It was awesome.
Yeah, and the Black and Blue tour, was that during the Mob Rules?
That's a good question. I think the Black and Blue tour was at the end of the Heaven and Hell tour, before Mob Rules. That's what I think.
Because you were in the band, and I had a friend tell me that in Milwaukee, there was like, Graham, my friend Tom said that Geezer Butler got hit in the head with a bottle of some sort, and it started a riot, and everybody just tore the place apart. Do you recall that?
That's exactly right. Oh yeah. Oh shit, yeah. That was we were playing, I think, second song in, and somebody threw a bottle, hit Geezer in the head. He started bleeding, and it was like blood coming out of out of the cut and everything. It was a pretty good hit. And then Ronnie got pissed off. Obviously we all got pissed off, but Ronnie's on the mic. He said, "That's it." He chewed him out. So that's it. We're out of here. And so we left the stage. That's when they had bottles.
Jeez.
Now they don't do bottles.
I remember at the same period, people like ripping out the seats.
Yeah. Then they started rioting, and the crew was up there with the gear, and they started throwing stuff at the gear and like breaking the chairs up. Got on CNN News. Then we're backstage, and they're going to try to get in here. They're breaking the door down. It was like the Mob Rules.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
And we're kind of getting a little like, what? Like, we're in danger? Holy crap. These are supposed to be our fans. Yeah, they were going crazy. It was like they were trying to get back to backstage, and, we couldn't believe what was happening. So finally, they rushed us out somehow, the secret way out. Got us out of there. But some of the gear was damaged, and took Geezer to the hospital and stuff. So.
All right,
So,
and a lot of people, and actually I forgot this. A lot of people don't know, but you were asked by I guess Sharon Osbourne to join Ozzy. Can you just quickly talk about that?
Yeah, right before Sabbath called, maybe a month or two before, probably a couple months before, I got a call from Sharon Osbourne, and she was just starting to manage Ozzy, and Ozzy was, wasn't doing anything except partying and having a good time. And she asked me if I wanted to go to England. They heard, I guess, my drumming somewhere, and go meet Ozzy, hang out, see how it goes, and possibly join the band. But I was like, I was like 18 years old. No, I must have been 20 years old.
Wow.
And then,
and you're talking about Blizzard. You're talking about Blizzard of Oz now, right? You're talking about before.
I'm talking about the first record. First record.
It's insane. Imagine what would have happened. It's insane. Go ahead.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened. So I asked my brother. I knew Ozzy was a little, not the average guy that works in the office, something like that. So I asked my brother. I said, "Dude, I got an offer from Ozzy, But he wasn't Ozzy. He was Ozzy, but he didn't have a solo career yet. So he was just the singer that they fired from Sabbath,
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So I asked Carmine. Carmine said, well, last time I saw Ozzy, it was at the Rainbow. We were sitting there eating, and Ozzy was eating spaghetti, and Carmine turned around to talk to somebody, and then he turned back to Ozzy, and Ozzy was sleeping in the spaghetti bowl.
That's it. Any regrets? Looking back now.
So I went, oh, I don't know, man. I'm like Mr. Straighto over here, and I was a kid too, I never even been out of the country except for Canada.
But
Canada, right?
Canada, yes, that's where we're at. Any regrets though? Looking back, you say, I should have done it. I just should have done it.
Well, obviously, Ozzy had a very, very long, successful career and great songs. And yeah, you look back and go, man, that would have been great. But I got to play with Sabbath, and I got to play with Dio. Yeah. Start a whole new band and be part of it and stuff. So, and I don't know. I always think I might have been on that plane with Randy Rhoads, because I know Randy.
It's crazy.
We met before, and I might have been on that plane.
It's true. You never know.
So I might not be here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Matter of fact, when Randy had that plane incident, we were stuck at an airport somewhere in the Midwest and fogged in, and the planes were stopped. The airport was kind of shut, and we're going to miss the show. It was a big arena show. Yeah. So they wound up chartering this propeller thing for 4 people or 5, 6 people, and there's all of us in there in bad weather flying 2 hours to the gig, and This thing was bumping around, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to go down, I'm going down in history here. Yeah. With these guys. So, but we got there safe. We got off the plane, kissed the ground, and then we went to the arena.
Okay, and now the big one. Okay,
that's the same day. That was the same day. That never happened ever.
Wow. It's strange. And now moving on to the Mob Rules. You're touring with the Mob Rules. You're recording the Live Evil, the famous Live Evil album, where your name's sort of like, not really with the band. And Ronnie James Dio, they removed the James part of his name. And again,
did they?
Didn't they? They go Ronnie Dio on the album cover, right? Take a look at the back of the album.
I haven't seen that album since we made it, I think, but that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, you notice, I sign a lot of them at shows and stuff because people bring them to me. And if you notice the Mob Rules album, it says who's in the band. It says Vinny, Appice, and then everybody else. I'm first, right? And then on that album, when the band's breaking up and there's bad vibes going on, there's 3 or 4 pictures of everybody else. One less of Ronnie, and I only have one little postage stamp picture on the album because I guess somebody was trying to send a message.
But I mean,
I know what it says. It says special guest.
Yes, that's right. You were just sort of like a side note. I mean, you were the drummer of the band. I mean,
I know. That's what happened. But you notice that happened twice because in Derringer, I was in Derringer with Rick Derringer, And the first album is 4 pictures of us. You know, second album, we're on the cover, everybody. Third album was a live album, and that's when me and Danny, the guitar player, were leaving. Rick Derringer wasn't happy about it and blamed me. So on that album, there's a picture of the band live, and it just so happens taken from below the drums that all you see of me is a tom-tom, not even in the picture.
Crazy.
It's like, welcome to the music business, kids.
Well, you paid your dues, and I mean, looking back at the Mob Rules, it's you know, probably one of the best hard rock heavy metal albums, you know, at least in the top 10 or at least in the top 20 in my book. You know, from the drumming to the guitar playing to this voice to the bass work, it has it all, right? But then you're on the Live Evil tour. So tell me about what was the whole, and again, I lived through this era, right? I went to buy Live Evil only to see that your name was reduced and Ronnie was missing, you know, his middle name. So I lived through this era. You were playing, but I was a fan in this era. And so tell me.
Oh my God, I can't believe they did that.
So Ronnie says the engineer was drunk. At least he claims that in the Bangor movie, Metal, right? And Tony, I can't remember where Tony said, and Tony just sort of wish-washy. He doesn't really say anything. But what was your side of the story to all of it?
The engineer was drunk. Yeah, I think the engineer liked to party at that time. And I mean, I just remember that we would show up, and me and Ronnie would show up, usually at 2 o'clock. That was the call we made. And then the rest of the band didn't show up till... later on, let's say. So,
sure,
you know, it was that kind of vibe thing going on, and I didn't understand why, you know. So it wasn't, you know, I love the band, I love everybody in the band. So, so that's what happened. And then it came out in the press that Ronnie and I went early into the studio so we could turn up the bass and the vocals and the drums. Why would you really do that? You know, that's kind of defeating the purpose of being in a band and making you.
But you must have had a conversation with Tony like later on, right? Decades later, about the whole incident. No? Oh, jeez.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
All right.
You
okay.
Know, I don't know. This came out later. I don't know. You know,
what
happened was I do remember we just started mixing because it's like the studio's being paid for, and okay, it's 2 o'clock or it's 3 o'clock. Nobody's here except us, and Ronnie wanted to get some work done and proceeded to start, you know, setting up for mixes or start mixing and stuff. So that's what happened. So how it got blown up to that, I don't know.
All right, cool. And so then you and Ronnie, or I guess Ronnie at first, decided that he wants to go solo. Well, maybe not even solo, but start a band, we'll say, right? As it was. And you decided, you know, I guess you had a decision to make. Either stay with Sabbath, I would assume, or maybe not, or go with Ronnie. And I mean, was there a decision that you had to make there, or did the band say stay with us?
Decision.
Okay.
Yeah, because we played good together. We got along together, Tony and Geezer and I, and it was a really, you know, good relationship. So when it came down to it, there was a decision to be made. You know, they wanted me to play with them. And then I thought, well, Ronnie and I get together, get along really well. We both live in California. Tony and Geezer were in England. So it was a little bit easier and to first of all work, you know, in California because we're both there. And then it was exciting to start a new band with this amazing singer. You know?
Yeah.
So I decided to do the former, and that's what happened. So originally, Ronnie was going to do an album. He had a record deal with Warner Brothers, and he was going to do an album that was his solo album with all his friends playing on it. Like Carrie Ligrim from Kansas was a good friend, and back then maybe Cozy, and who knows, maybe even Richie Blackmore, I don't know. But that was the plan originally. He was going to do a solo record. And then when this came down where he was going to do a solo record while he was in Sabbath, put the solo record out. And then continue with Sabbath, but things weren't going good with Sabbath, so that's when he decided, okay, I'm going to leave the band and I'm going to put a new band together and use that record deal as the launch pad, you know.
And a lot of success it did have, right? So what were so tell me about now you're in you're doing and we're not going to go through the whole catalog of Dio here. Just a couple of highs and lows of maybe Holy Diver. Your experience of it all.
Holy Diver was recorded at Sound City. You know, everybody knows Sound City now, thanks to the Dave Grohl movie. Mm-hmm. And Holy Diver was a great time in everybody's life in the band. You know, Vivian was new. He was like a young kid, and Jimmy was Jimmy. And, you know, we were just having a great time. Every night we'd go to Sound City at 7 o'clock in the rehearsal room and write, smoke a lot of pot. They would drink. I didn't really drink. Yeah, we'd smoke loads of pot. And we'd record stuff, and our sound man, Angelo, who recorded Holy Diver, was there every night. We even got to the point of, you know, we'd get really stoned and put down riffs and stuff, and then the next night we'd come in and we'd ask Angelo to play the riff on the cassette we made. So it was a 4-track cassette, so you could put it in upside down, and it goes backwards. Mm-hmm. So that's what he did. He by mistake, and we're laughing at him, thinking, you jerk, you put it in upside down, and we're laughing. Then we go, wait a minute, that sounds pretty good. So we're listening to some backwards stuff now. And so we go, that sounds good. Let's learn the riff backwards. So we learned the riff backwards, and we used it in the song Invisible. Song Invisible is the riff forward and the riff backwards, too, in the song. Cool. So we did crazy stuff. There was nothing we didn't say we can't do. And then we destroyed the place, and man, we just open up the pinball machines and put little ramps there so we couldn't lose the balls, and we'd be playing video games and just having a ball. It was like a boys' club every night. So that's why it came out so good. We're all having a great time, you know. Sure. Then when we were ready, we had 4 songs. We just drag all the stuff across the parking lot into the studio part of Sound City. They had a rehearsal part, and then they had the parking lot, and then they had the recording part. Then we set up there, and then we recorded 4 songs, and we brought everything back across the parking lot, put it back in the room. You know, one time the Vanilla Fudge with my brother came to rehearse in one of the rooms. So, you know, we're in there, they're in there. We go, let's lock them in. So we took all the road cases and piled them up so they couldn't get out, you know, just in front of their door so they couldn't get out. So we left them there for a couple hours. They were pissed off, too.
Wow.
So, but hey, what the hell? That's fun.
Yeah. And how much? So Vivian Campbell. Let's just talk a little about Vivian Campbell. The riffs. A lot of the riffs, at least I've read, came from not a lot of the riffs, but a few of the riffs came from his prior band, right? And is there any truth to that, or you just took what he had and you rearranged it for Holy Diver?
He did have "Stand Up and Shout" was a song called "Bottle of Wine" that was from Sweet Savage. That's what I last remember, and not the whole thing. So I don't know how much of it, but it was definitely another song. And then we twisted it around, and maybe we added some stuff to it, and it became "Stand Up and Shout."
Sure.
As far as the other ones, I'm not sure. I don't think any of the other ones became anything from what they had before.
Sure,
you know, like "Straight Through the Heart" was a Jimmy riff. You know, he played on the bass, and "Holy Diver." Actually, "Holy Diver" was a riff Ronnie had that before the band was put together. Him and I would go in a rehearsal place, and we just jam, you know, on different things, and that became Holy Diver. And I suggested do the hits, down, 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 ba 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 dum bump, and he had don't do do don't do do don't do do. So we always had that, and that was like the audition songs when we had guitar players come down.
Cool, very cool. And okay, now we're skipping ahead with. We're not going to spend the whole day doing this. I could talk to you all day about every album. Last in Line, Sacred Heart. How did everything start breaking down with Vivian? You know, at what point he's a great guitarist. I mean, he gave so much. He was an integral. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's a monster guitar player, and then it just became. there's some business problems within the band. You know, we were promised to be sharing in things. You know, and we gave it up for the first album and tour because okay, it costs a lot of money to launch a thing, and Ronnie's putting in his money and whatever. But then it never happened. You know, we were doing tours in arenas. You know, back then, one of the tours grossed $8 million. That was in those dollars. That's probably $80 million. I don't know. But we got nothing out of it, you know, salaries and stuff. So what was promised never happened.
Sure.
And Vivian really called them on it, and the management. And so that was kind of became bad blood with Ronnie. But, you know, we all felt the same way, that we're getting a little bit
less.
We're not getting what we were promised, and we should be doing better than we're doing. You know, somebody's making a lot of money here, and it wasn't us. So that's what happened with Viv, and then Ronnie and Viv didn't see eye to eye, and then finally Ronnie said to me, "I'm going to fire Viv." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I just was in shock, and I kind of mentioned that that's not a great idea, you know, because the sound of his band. So, and he decided that he can go on without him. So that's what happened. You know, whenever you got something that works with a band that's magical with the people in it, you don't do that, you know.
I love Vivian Campbell.
Yeah, it's part of the sound. It's like Led Zeppelin. They didn't even continue with another drummer. They could have made zillions of dollars, but they didn't for a while. And then they got John's son, Jason.
Yeah.
And it's just the magic's within certain people in bands, you know, that it really works. And then you change them around, it's not the same, you know.
No. Hey, here's some questions.
Nowadays it's different. There's all these bands out with one original member or no members that
That's
were
true.
original.
Yes.
They just own them. Somebody owns the name, and it's a commercial enterprise, and they go out and play. But they're good.
Yeah, it's
good.
true.
Now it's a different music business. But back in the day, when you're writing the stuff that's becoming classic rock or history, it's in the history books. Then that's where it's important to not make the changes. You know.
Agreed. Here's some questions, and you could answer them quickly if you like. From Orlando. First of all, he loves you. And the last, what's your favorite album that you drummed on in Dio? My favorite Vinny Appice drumming is on Dio's Last in Line record. And
really?
That's his favorite. Okay, that's a statement. He wants to ask you about Dream Evil, your thoughts about Dream Evil. But his favorite, his favorite drumming of Vinny Appice is on Last in Line. What are your thoughts on Dream Evil?
Yeah, Last in Line. Dream Evil was with Craig Goldie, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And, you know, it's a good album, but it just lost the rawness of the band. And that's because of two things. And one of them is more keyboards got into the music. We weren't really a keyboard band. On Holy Diver, Jimmy Bain played the Rainbow in the Dark thing. And sometimes Ronnie played some backing chords on a couple of songs, you know, and that was it. We were a guitar band. So as the tours went on, we got a keyboard player, which was Claude Schnell, and Claude's a great keyboard player and a great person.
Mm-hmm.
The keyboards worked their way into the music more, so that kind of smoothed it out. You didn't have that rawness, you know. And then Craig Goldie played a little bit different style than Viv, so I think the direction of the band just changed. And then also on top of all that, Ronnie started taking more control of everything, like being a producer. Before we did what we wanted to do, and everybody's ideas were counted in, and that's what made a great band. Then it became less of that, more of Ronnie driving the ship, you know.
So what you're saying is you're saying it started off as a band.
All that kind of all those things combined kind of made the band a little less vicious, I would say, you know.
So it started off as a band format, and then it turned into more of a solo project for Ronnie. Is that what you're saying?
Not so much a solo project. He just became more of a control, not more control of things, you know. And I don't know, he didn't. The rawness was, the stuff wasn't raw anymore. It was like, you know, smoothed out, especially with the keyboard and stuff. So the music just changed to not being as mean as it was, you know, and heavy.
Yeah. What about so Finley wants to know, ask Vinny how he likes Dio's Strange Highways. I love it. First album after Dehumanizer. What do you think about Strange Highways?
I like Strange Highways. The sound is like a whole different sound, and Tracy G on guitar was a bit darker. And I like the album. The only thing I regret is I didn't play much stuff on it. Usually I play a lot, and that one I didn't play a lot. But that was due to the drums were so damn big. They were huge sounding drums, so when the drums sound that huge, it's hard to do fast fills and make them work.
Yeah,
like
sure.
a bunch of blah, blah. So I was in a different mindset and just played it more straight, like normal people do. And Tracy had a darker guitar sound. I love the way Tracy plays. So the album was good, but the Dio fans, I think a lot of fans weren't expecting it to be that dark and really doomy and heavy like that. So I think it shocked some of the fans.
Here's another question from Tommy. Any chance of reviving Heaven and Hell featuring Tony Martin on vocals?
Any chance of reviving that? No.
With Tony Martin?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. If we were going to revive that, it would probably be with Rob Halford, and that's because we played together with Rob, and I know Rob would like to do that. And it's up to Tony and Geezer if they want to continue to do something like that, you know. So that's what I would think would work. Tony Martin's kind of into country now, I think, right?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No,
maybe I'm wrong.
He looks it.
Maybe he looks like he's in country. He's got the hat going, but I think he's still playing the metal. Were you
in? I don't know. I don't think that could happen, but it's not my call. You know?
Were you invited to play with Black Sabbath on the reunion tour?
On the first reunion tour.
Well, I guess the reunion. I'm not sure which reunion tour. I guess, you know, in the past
that was
2-3 years.
There was a reunion tour, yeah, and I played on that. This one, no, because they did an album. I wasn't on the album. All the people around them have changed. You know, there's a different producer. It was a different thing. So, and we just came off Heaven and Hell, so it was me, Tony, Geezer, as Heaven and Hell. If I was in the band, it would be Heaven and Hell with Ozzy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would sound funny. So that could be a reason why that happened. And maybe they wanted to change. I don't know. But I wasn't involved in that at all or called.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, going into Dehumanizer. What are your thoughts great drum work on that album. What are your thoughts on looking back on it years later? You know, what do you think of the album, the songs, the mix, the production?
I think I love that album. It's a great album. Actually, we all kind of really love that album. Ronnie loved the song "I." That's one of his favorite songs we ever played. And it was an album that was a great vibe to it. It was very doomy because we were in England in the winter, and it was very gloomy out and doomy. It was, you know, so we got in that mode. You know, me and Ronnie lived there for like 6 weeks at a time, and we wrote in a house together. Tony and Geezer would come over and we'd play in the living room with little amps and stuff. It was pretty funny. Ronnie was using a guitar amp for a vocal.
Cool.
You know, we'd be there in slippers and stuff and in the living room. I said, you know what, maybe we should do a stage set like this on the next tour. We come out in the robes and slippers and we're in the living room.
Yeah, well, it would be interesting, that's for sure.
Relax, and we're not pajamas and shit.
So they throw out the dragons and they bring in the pajamas, right?
Yeah, bring in the pajamas. So it was a good mood within everybody. We seemed to be getting along, and there was an edge to that album. And then we brought in Mac. First, we had a different producer, and it didn't work. He was trying to tell Tony Iommi what chords to play, I don't think that works. You know, you don't tell Tony Iommi to maybe change his chords. You know, that just doesn't work. Tony knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's the riff master.
The riff master, yes.
So then we got another producer, and that was Mac, who did some Queen's work, and he was great, and he got a great sound on the album. And some of that album was recorded with Cozy Powell. Cozy was involved in the band because he was playing with Tony. I wasn't involved in it. And then Cozy fell off a horse and broke his pelvis. He couldn't play, so that's when they go, well, let's call Vinny, you know. And Ronnie was happy about that. So I got in the band, and then they moved along very quickly with recording and everything. Before it was kind of going really slow and spending a lot of money. And I got in a band that was just like boom, 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 you know, because I'm easier to work with. I don't know why, but it worked that way. And then, so a couple of the songs, maybe 4 songs, were kind of put together with Cozy. And then the rest, we were jamming on a recording and listening to riffs and putting them together, new and fresh songs. And it just had a great vibe to it. And then Mac got a great sound. I love the drum sound. And the Computer God song, everybody loved the intro, especially drummers. And that's, they go, what'd you do there? You know what? I don't even know what I did there. They just said, okay, why don't you start the song? All right, just keep running takes. And I start it. I go, do another one. Do another one. Do another one. Record another one. I must have did 10 of them. You know, then we listened to them. Said, this one sounds good. You know, I didn't think it was any big deal, but it was odd. It had a little odd thing to it. So that's the one we chose, and we used it. You know, that's all it was. Those are not even my drums. They were rented drums.
Wow.
Because we were in England. Yeah. So that was a great album.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, Dio passes away, and now everyone's on this Hologram tour. I mean, what are your thoughts on Hologram? I mean, do you think it keeps the music alive?
I think I'm going to get a whole band of holograms because they don't complain. You know, you don't have to pay them.
It's true. It's true.
You don't need a hotel room.
That's it.
You can put them in your suitcase. You don't have to get by air flights and shit. So.
It's cheap.
Yeah, I'm kidding, but I don't know. I haven't really seen it, so I don't know. It's good that the music's still out there. I mean, Last in Line's playing the music. We're keeping it alive too, but that people want to see this, so that's a good thing. I don't know what it looks like. Some people may feel weird about it. You know, I don't know. It might freak me out if I saw Ronnie moving on stage. I go, holy crap, that's weird. But I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But it's something that's not been really done to this extent before. And they said the technology's a lot better from the last one they did, so it might be really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's keeping the music alive. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I kind of like how technology and music have merged together. Yeah. Especially for the people who've never seen Dio.
You know? Yeah. It's something different, yeah. Somebody might want to see what it was like, you know, a little bit of what it was like to see Ronnie, you know. So this is something different than just seeing the band play the songs with somebody else singing.
Sure. Yeah. Khalil wants to know Khalil wants to know what is one of your favorite performances on a song that you're most proud of?
One of the best performances on a song?
Most proud of?
Well, I like We Rock. We Rock is pretty kick-ass drums on that, and there's a lot of
nice
signature fills that I came up with that fit that song and that are only in that song. And and they're in each part where it repeats and stuff right before the chorus. So there's a lot of good stuff in that song, kick ass. That and Night Speed at Night's a lot of good fast, crazy drumming in that too. So
cool, very cool. And now moving into the future. I know we really fast forwarded into the future. All right, the two brothers finally they've come together to record an album called Sinister. I was listening to this album on my headphones, and is it me, or are you guys actually playing at the same time on some of the songs?
Some of the songs we're playing at the same time, but it's hard to tell because we're so tight.
Because I noticed...
I'm on the left.
You're on the left?
If your headphones are on correctly, which I think the wire should be on the left side on all headphones, I believe that's the theory. I'm on the left, Carmine's on the right. And
this is pretty cool because when I was playing it in my car, I didn't notice this. But when I put my headphones on, I went for a little walk. I go, wait a second, there's like two drummers playing. I mean, was it, like you said, was it throughout the whole album, or was it just on a few tracks?
A few tracks we play all the way through, but within that, Carmine will go off, maybe play some counter feel to what I'm playing, or I'll do that. So we don't play exactly the same, and sometimes the fills are split up a little bit, and sometimes we just double the fills. And then some songs, I'm playing the chorus, he's playing the verse. There's parts that we switch off on. Yeah, it gets really crazy. Some songs we're playing alone. There's a couple songs where we each play alone, and then there's some songs like Sinister with a drum break at the end that happens 4 times each.
Yeah,
you could hear me. That's a little battle. It's cool, but it's not really a drum album. Where
yes. I just found that
with a lot of drums, you know.
I'm just trying to make everybody aware out there that you can actually, if you really pay attention and you put your headphones on, you can actually hear both of you playing at the same time.
Yeah, I mean that's full kits on left and right.
Yeah,
2 full kits.
At first, I thought it was my
usual mix.
That's very cool, actually. You're playing, and the playing's so tight that you won't notice it playing it out loud. You need to put on headphones actually to pick it off.
Yeah, we play very tight together. We got a lot of the same. Well, we got the same feel. You know, we got a lot of the same stuff, and then we have differences, big differences. You know, the way we play. You know, I'm more. Well, first of all, I'm louder, and I'm heavier, and then I play more behind the beat, maybe. Carmine plays behind the beat too, but I'm more precision, like right on the money, right in with the metronome and stuff, and like a lot of fast stuff. And Carmine plays more groove oriented, more in the toms, and you know, with 2 different styles that way. But then we could play together as one.
Yeah. Here's some guests on the album, so everybody knows: Jim Crean, Paul Shortino, of course, from Rough Cut, Quiet Riot. Robin McCulley, Chaz West from Bonham, ex-Lynch Mob, Scotty Bruce, I'm not sure where he played, Craig Goldie, of course, Dio and Jafiria, Bumblefoot, Joe, who's I can't even pronounce his last name, from Whitesnake, Holska. You know, Holska, that's right. I always mispronounce it, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike Sweda from Bullet Boys, Eric Turner from Warrant, David Michael Phillips from King Cobra, Tony Franklin on bass, Phil Suzanne from, of course, Ozzy Osbourne back in the day, Johnny Rod, King Cobra, and Jorgen Carlson from Government Mule, and Eric Norlander from Lana Lane. Why did you choose? I want to ask you.
And then there's also Iggy Guadaro, who's a young guitar player from Poland that I did an album with called Whammy with Marco Mendoza and Doogie White. This guy's a phenomenal player. So he's on 2 songs. And then there's some of the names you don't recognize, but another guy is Christopher Godin, and he's from France. So he was recommended by a friend, and we heard how he played. This guy's insane, you know. So he sent over some different riffs, and then I put them together. I sent them back. Then he did some work on it, and then we created a song. And you hear a solo, and suddenly it's just crazy stuff, man.
Are you going to tour with this? Are you going to tour for this album?
Yeah, we're going to tour, but we can't bring all those people on tour.
Well, definitely, yes. So are you going to pick, have you decided on who's going to be in your band? Like vocal-wise?
Well, we have 3 different bands. We have one band in L.A., and the Okai sisters are on the album, too. And they're 2 sisters from Japan. You know, they're really cute, and they're metalheads. And they get up. They're not tall, you know, they're little girls, and they get up and just crank it out. And we play gigs with them. People look at it and go, wow, that looks so cool, you know. And then Jim Crean's our singer. So they play with us on the West Coast, and they're on the album. And then on the East Coast, we have a band with Artie and Jimmy on bass, who played with Carmine with Slam, and he had a Slam show, a drum show.
Sure.
Artie actually kind of came up with Sinister, the song, and him and Carmine. So that's our New York band. And then in Europe, we have a band with a couple of guys, too. So, so we have 3 different bands.
You guys coming to Canada?
Not yet, but I'm trying to get last in line in Canada because the last time I was in Canada was with Kill Devil Hill with Rex Brown and me. And we did a tour of Canada. We must have did 6 shows across Canada, and the reaction was great. Like, I didn't realize that, Canada was still heavy rocking out.
Oh, yeah, Montreal's pretty rocking. Montreal's pretty rocking.
My ex-wife, I was married for a long, long time, was from Canada, Ottawa. So I've been to Ottawa a zillion times.
Sure.
And Montreal, and Toronto, and all the other places. Been there many times. So I'm hoping to get last in line there next year.
Nice. So quickly about the songs, Monsters and Heroes. I think that's about Dio, I would assume, right? I don't have the lyric sheet.
That's a tribute to Ronnie James Dio.
Drum Wars, of course, you and your brother, because you do this Drum Wars on stage, correct? It's you do a drum clinics, is that it? The Drum Wars? Is that...
No, Drum Wars is a song that we just did. We put together for the live show, and Carmine came up with the idea, and he wrote it on his iPad. He put it together with the garage band or something, and he just had the idea, Drum Wars, like a theme, an anthem. And so then we started messing with it, and that's all Drum Wars is, and that's the only song that's really drum oriented.
Okay.
And actually on that song, my sister Terry and my brother Frank are singing backgrounds on it, so it's like the whole family, me, Carmine,
Drum Wars,
Terry, and Frank. Yeah, we're all singing on it. I think.
Carmen,
we didn't pay them either.
Carmen, what song does he actually do?
Anything.
What song does Carmen sing on?
Carmine sings on, I think, In the Night.
In the Night. In the Night.
I think that's the one.
You Got Me Running or In the Night?
Yeah.
Okay, In the Night. So watch out for that. Lead vocals from Carmen Appice, your brother. Also, your brother's being inducted into the Hall of Heavy Metal History, and you were inducted last year.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Time I went first.
That's right. Being the younger brother, right?
Yeah, I'm the younger brother. He gets these things, and then I get them later, like sloppy seconds, and now I went first. So, haha.
Are you going to be there this year at the Hall of Heavy Metal History? Are you going to be passing by?
Is that the one at the NAMM show?
Yes, that was close by.
Yeah, I'm going to be there, and it looks like we're going to play with the band. We're going to play Monsters and Heroes and maybe another song, Sinister. Play 2 songs together.
Yeah,
that'll be wild.
Yeah,
about time the NAMM show gets some.
Well, it's not the NAMM show. It's the same time as the NAMM show. It was last year. You were inducted into the Hall of Heavy Metal History. You got an award, remember? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the setup is.
It's about time NAMM gets a little louder. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll be at NAMM.
They used to be rocked out, and then it's become a little bit more laid back, and so it'll be fun.
Do you know what day you're playing? Do you know what day you're playing at NAMM?
No, I have no idea.
Well, keep me posted. I'll be there. I'll be there with my camera, so keep me posted when you're there. And and also I'll be at the Hall of Heavy Metal History when your brother's being inducted in there.
Yeah.
Which will be very cool. So there you have it, folks. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the new album?
New album's out on October 27th. There's a lyric video out for Monsters and Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the video that we did, which is a really cool video that comes out on the day the album comes out on October 27th. And then I'm going to be next week at the Chiller Theater big autograph convention. I'll be there for 3 days. So if anybody's around, and that's in Jersey, I think, New Jersey. Okay. Anybody's around, come and see me, and I'll be hanging out there. And last in line, we're working on album 2. It's going great. And other than that, I just folded my laundry, and I'm happy. Everything's good.
Last in line, how many songs have you written so far?
We recorded 5,
mm-hmm.
and then we got another 5 ideas that we didn't record yet, and we like those. And then we rehearsed the last 2 days, yesterday and the day before. We came up with 4 more ideas. It's really easy writing together with Viv and Phil Susan, just the 3 of us in a room. And we just jam it out, crazy ideas. That's the way Holy Diver was done. We just jam, and I always have crazy ideas, and I'll throw them out there to keep the energy in the room going. even if the idea sucks, it's better to have an idea than to sit there and nobody has an idea, because one idea could lead to another. So that's what I do, and we work so well together, and it's just so great playing together with Viv again, and having Phil there playing with us. So it's awesome.
You know what? So, actually, as a last question, Lock Up the Wolves. Like, you started recording the album, and I just remembered this question. You started recording the album. You started helping, I guess, put the album together, and then Rowan Robinson, who I did interview before in the past, great guy, great guitarist. You disappeared. I mean, what happened there?
Well, he's on the album, isn't he?
No, I mean you. I mean you, Vinny. You started.
What happened to me?
Yeah. Like you started. I don't know if you started recording the album.
No, you know what we did? We wrote the songs in rehearsal, all of us, and then it was time. Back then, we used to demo the songs on Ronnie's Akai 12-track.
Yeah,
that was before the computer launch, and so we would mic everything up and then record them and bounce a couple of tracks so we had more room, and then put guitars and Ronnie would sing on it. So we'd hear what it's going to sound like. So I went to that point of all the songs. Then I don't know, I wasn't happy in the band because it was all new members and everybody was like really young. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but Rowan was 17 and the other, and it just wasn't that same band. It wasn't Dio anymore. So
yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I think I'm gonna cut out. And then Jimmy Bain called me, and he was playing with his band World War III. And that was with Tracy G, and I heard that stuff, and it was so freaking heavy and cool, modern sounding. I thought, you know what? Maybe it's time for a change, and that's when I decided to leave and go play with Jimmy again. So that's what happened. So I did the demos. I didn't really record anything proper after that.
All right. I think we got everything. We are good. I could have talked to you for another 2 hours, by the way, but I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, you didn't even touch on John Lennon. I played with John Lennon, too.
You know what? Tell me about John Lennon. I read about this before. Tell me about John Lennon. That was your first band, right?
Well, it was, one of my first bands. We were a 9-piece band with 4 horn players, like a rock funk thing. We were really good band. And our friend was Jimmy Iovine from Beats Audio and Interscope Records. He was our friend of the guitar players, became our good friend. And he loved the band, wanted to produce us, brought us to the Record Plant Studios to record some demos. We did that, and the owner heard that, the owner of the studio, Roy, and he signed us to a management deal, and within the management deal gave us a room on the 10th floor to rehearse for free. Big room. So that's hard to come by in Manhattan. Anything free in Manhattan is like insane. Very rare. So we had this great room to rehearse. So we would go there every night, almost every night, and rehearse. And we hardly did any gigs, but we did a lot of recording with Jimmy. And then one night, Jimmy called us up and said, can you guys come down and do hand claps? I said, sure. We go downstairs, and there's John Lennon in the room.
That's cool.
Like, on the other side of the glass. We're shitting, we're like, oh my God, look who's that? Oh my God, we're freaking out. Then we put headphones on, and he starts talking to us. You can recognize his voice, obviously, from all the years of listening to him, and you go, oh my God, he's talking to us. So we all fainted. No, I'm kidding. No, so we wound up doing hand claps for the song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night.
Cool.
That song has my band and me on the record. And then we went upstairs, and then John, I don't know what happened, but a couple of days later, he came to our rehearsal room, watched us rehearse, checking us out. So smoked a couple of joints with John, and it was very cool. Then he wound up coming up a lot and hanging out with us. There was a pool room up there. We played pool with him. He felt safe up there because we didn't ask him for pictures. We didn't ask him for his autographs, which I really wish I would have, now. We didn't bother him. We just let him hang out. He enjoyed coming and hanging out with us and stuff. And then I heard he was kind of looking at us as possibly his next band. So he asked us to do 3 videos with him. We did some other recordings with him for the singer he was producing, which was the wife of the owner of Record Plant. So we did 8 songs in the studio with him as a producer. So we got comfortable with him. We weren't freaking out that much being in the room with him. And then he asked us to do a live performance at a TV show. The TV show was on ABC Wide World Special Things. And it was a salute to this big entertainment guy in England who John didn't like. He thought he was two-faced. So we said, yeah, of course we'll do it. So John wanted us to get masks of our face made, put it on the back of our head, so we're two-faced, right?
Yeah.
And then we got black shiny jumpsuits made, and John wore a red shiny jumpsuit. John didn't do the face thing. We did, 9 of us. But each day we went with John in a van to go get the faces made. They had to pour wax on the face. Then we went in the van with him to get the jumpsuits made. It was like really cool hanging out with him like that, you know.
That's like.
Then we come out on the stage. It's a black tie affair, and we come out looking like a bunch of aliens. So we played 3 songs with him: "Slipping and Sliding," "Imagine," and "Stand by Me." And then about 3 years ago, I see a magazine, Guitar Aficionado, that says it's a big page with that picture in it. And I'm right next to John. And it mentions John Lennon and it mentions me, and that's it. And I'm like flattered.
Wow.
And it says this was John's last performance.
Wow.
I played John Lennon's last performance. I was almost on the floor when I heard that because I didn't know that, you know. And I was like freaking out, like, holy crap, me? Kid from Brooklyn eating pizza on the corner. I'm playing the last performance of one of the Beatles. Especially John, I was like freaking out, you know.
How'd you feel?
So that was the total. And then I would go to high school the next day. I was 16 years old.
Oh, you were only
so 16.
Jeez.
I was 16, yeah. Yeah, 16, 17 years old, going on 17. And I go to high school the next day. And it was like 2 different worlds, you know. So it was really difficult to stay in school when you know all this was happening around you. And my brother was successful and all that stuff. So it was like, I don't think I want to stay in school. I think I know what I want to do, you know.
How were your
my
friends?
parents let me quit school, yeah.
And your friends?
So I quit school.
Yeah. Wow. And then
yeah, my friends. Well, luckily, the guy playing bass in that band was Angelo. He wound up doing sound for Sabbath and for Derringer. He stayed with me my whole career almost. Then he wound up as the recording engineer for Holy Diver, Last in Line, all the 4 or 5 albums we did. First 5 albums of Dio.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it was a great introduction to.
That's quite a story.
Business, yeah.
Do you have a picture?
Yeah. If you search John Lennon, and the name of the band was BOMF.
Okay.
You'll see a whole bunch of pictures, and I'm the one to the right of John with no hair.
Okay, let me just see if I can find it here. Hey, what is it?
It was Band of Mother Fig Newtons. Fill in the blank.
John.
We didn't have a name.
Lennon. Actually,
John Lennon and BOMF. BOMF.
Okay, let's see what happens. Pretty excited here.
And then you'll see a picture with.
It's a black and white pictures, isn't it?
Black and white pictures, yeah. Luckily, there was a photographer there because I don't have any pictures of this except for the pictures on the internet.
Okay, I'm going to just show this to everybody here.
Do you see
so
it?
everybody's bald. Everybody's bald.
Yeah, there's 2 faces on us. There's one face behind us, and we were bald, and then our given face was on the other side.
Well, I see you. And let me just see if I could see you. Let's see. Where are you? John Lennon's in the front.
I'm to the right.
You're to the right.
John Lennon's in the front.
That's incredible. That's truly incredible.
I got my hand on his shoulder.
Actually, there's
my hands on John.
There's actually a few
my
pictures.
hands on John Lennon. Yeah, there's a bunch of pictures. My hand's on the shoulders on one of them, so I haven't washed that hand in 35 years. It really stinks now, too.
Here's actually there's a second picture. Let me just see if I get this up here. And the portrait. And let's see if.
And then I'll tell you one more quickie.
Sure.
When we did the Mob Rules, I told you we were in England. We went to John Lennon's house, Ringo's house, but it was John Lennon's house before Ringo owned it. But John, unfortunately, was not with us at that time, so Ringo bought the house.
Yeah.
So we went into that house and stayed there for 2 nights. And I got John Lennon's room. of all the people.
Jeez.
Yeah, I got his room. Nobody else got his room. It's the weirdest thing. You know, I'm the only one with a tie to the Beatles.
What was the coolest thing that you learned about John Lennon that a lot of people don't know?
That, yeah.
Wow, I can't believe he's like that.
I don't know. I mean, we didn't get into heart-to-heart talking like that, but I know he wanted other things other than pot.
Okay, well, we'll leave it at that, eh? What about, and you know what, actually, I should have asked you, Heaven and Hell, and quickly, I know we've been on for a while, but it's very interesting, all your little stories. Heaven and Hell, what were your thoughts on that album? And again, highs, lows, or
on
maybe...
the actual Heaven and Hell, actual Heaven and Hell album?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not on that. You know that, right? That's Bill Ward.
Oh, Bill Ward plays on it. I thought you were on it.
Yeah. No. I wish I was on it, man. That album's just a killer album. Absolute classic album.
The Devil You Know,
great
right?
album. No, The Devil You Know I'm on that. But the Heaven and Hell album...
No, that's what I meant. I meant the Devil You Know. That's the Heaven...
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Devil You
Yes,
Know.
of course. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. It is Bill
I'm
Ward.
on that one.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts?
That one I'm not crazy about. I'm not crazy about that album because songs were written with drum machines and it was a whole different vibe, you know. We didn't even play in the room when those songs were written.
Wow.
I came into it, we came off the road and they put the songs together with the engineer and there's all drum machines and then I wound up playing, to those songs and it wasn't the same, the Mob Rules and the Humanizer, we slammed it out, loud in a room, except for the Humanizer wasn't that loud, but Mob Rules was. But we played together, we made jam together, and it's a different vibe,
Mm-hmm.
Those songs are more aggressive.
Yeah.
So.
Here's a last question for you from Finley. Does Vinny have a nickname from the drum community? Like Gene the Atomic Clock Hoagland?
Yeah.
What's your nickname?
My Drum Monster.
Drum Monster. Is that a real name or you just made it up right now?
No, that's real. My email is drummonster13@gmail.com.
Oh, very cool.
I got shirts that say Drum Monster, yeah.
Very cool. Okay.
I am the Drum Monster, 2 M's.
Okay, cool.
I used to be, when I was fat, it was a Cookie Monster. And then I thought I'd change it because that wasn't very flattering when I lost some weight. So I changed it to Drum Monster. But for years, it's been Drum Monster.
Very, very cool. All right, there you have it, guys. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Vinny, thanks for being on the show. October 27th. October 27th, Appice, the two brothers, Carmen and Vinny, pick up
Actually,
their...
it's Carmine.
Carmine.
Yeah, Carmen's somebody else.
I have a lot of friends named Carmen. That's why I'm used to it. Carmine.
Sometimes they say his name wrong. They go, it's Carmine Peachy, or something. It's like a total different person. They got the first name wrong, too, because they can't, the second name's confusing because we pronounce it differently. So
in Italian, it's
but
Appice.
it's Carmine.
How do you pronounce it in Italian?
Well, I say Appice, Carmine's a piece, and my other brother's a peach.
Okay, there you go.
Figure that out.
All right. Anyways, thanks for being on the show. Look forward to seeing you jam out at NAMM and the Hall of Heavy Metal History if you're there. And that's pretty much it, man. So have yourself a great day.
Nice. Thank you. You too. Nice talking to you. And hello to Canada. Love you guys. And thanks for all the years of listening to this music loudly and not damaging your ears and stuff. But Canada's been great. We played there so many times. But and everybody around the world. So that's listening. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.